The biggest news in Formula One right now is that Audi and Porsche are entering the sport. The two iconic brands could soon have two cars on the starting grid alongside the best in the world. But why have they chosen 2026 to enter the sport? What does it mean for Formula One? And do car companies really make money from competing? Stay tuned to find out. First up, rumors. Rumors have been circulating for months that Volkswagen was backing a Formula One entry for both Porsche and Audi. Now, those rumors have been confirmed. At the end of last year, McLaren were forced to deny claims that their team was on the verge of being bought out by Audi. That option was only considered for Audi because McLaren directly competed with Porsche in the sports car market. Then, in April of this year, the Volkswagen Group said that they had not yet decided against entering the sport because they had not spoken to the FIA about the new 2026 regulations yet. Speculation that Audi and Porsche might join the sport set off some debates between the teams, because Red Bull will be developing their own engines through Red Bull powertrains from 2026. They have been given concessions in the form of extra funding. Christian Horner has already said that he doesn't think the advantage goes far enough. For him, Red Bull powertrains will be at a huge disadvantage facing the likes of Ferrari, Mercedes, and Renault, who have decades, if not centuries, of experience manufacturing engines. But this has led other teams to complain, especially with the likely partnership between Porsche and Red Bull on the horizon. Rivals are worried that it could be an unfair advantage. When Porsche and Audi enter Formula One, it's unclear if they will come in as a total newcomer or be treated like established teams. There is a case to be made for both arguments. They will have the resources and expertise of some of the other teams, but it's true that they don't have the experience. Incoming changes. Volkswagen, who own both Audi and Porsche, have said that this was the most opportune moment to get into Formula One. With an engine freeze coming up in 2026, along with major regulation changes, Volkswagen thought that it was the perfect timing. It's as good a time for competition in F1 right now. During the turbo hybrid era from 2014, it has been dominated almost entirely by Mercedes. The regulations were suited to the Mercedes engine, which provided so much of an advantage over their rivals that the team actually held back on their performance. Under the guidance of executive director Ross Brawn, Formula One is trying to enter a new era of closer racing, both on and off the track. On the track, a host of aerodynamic changes have been introduced that are all designed to promote closer racing and overtaking. And off the track, a cost cap reduces the amount of money available for teams to spend on car performance to $140 million a year. Plus, an engine freeze that is coming into effect at the end of the year will lock in engine builds until 2026. This is designed to help smaller teams compete with bigger teams. Engine manufacturing, research, development, and testing are some of the biggest parts of spending in F1. By almost totally removing this part, it might help smaller teams focus their spending on other areas of innovation. Publicity. The other reason that Volkswagen thinks that now is the best time to join Formula One is that the sport is booming. After the 1990s, Formula One was on the decline. TV and live audiences were dropping off slowly, and there was little new interest in the sport. There was an aging fan base, and management was not doing enough to entice new, younger viewers. But since the US company Liberty Media took over the ownership from the Formula One Group, there have been some big changes. The sport has entered the 21st century with broadcasting, branding, and partnerships. Formula One has entered esports and has its very own racing league in partnership with the official video game. This has helped to keep young people engaged and interested. But by far, the biggest factor in the new last few years has been a deal with Netflix that allowed a film crew exclusive access inside the paddock and behind the scenes. Netflix used this footage to create a compelling and dramatic docuseries called Drive to Survive. Not long after its release, it became a global phenomenon. It led to F1 drivers being interviewed on the world's biggest talk shows, a constant news cycle of F1 on the news, and a reinvigorated fan base. But most of all, it allowed F1 to break into the US market, which the sport had been trying to do for decades. This year, the Miami Grand Prix is featured on the F1 calendar, and next year it has been confirmed that F1 is going to Vegas. For Volkswagen, this is very important. The company has stated that the growth in the audience in the US and Asia was a key part of their decision. How much money could Porsche and Audi stand to make from entering Formula One? And who actually owns Volkswagen? Don't go anywhere to find out. Bottom line, Formula One is a great opportunity for brands to build up their brand power. Advertisers, partners, and companies all scramble to buy space in F1, but the best products to advertise are cars. The old slogan is, win on Sunday, sell on Monday, but there isn't much recent evidence to back that up. Analysis of all the major car companies involved in Formula One show that title sponsors like Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin saw their share prices take a hit. Real teams like Renault, who build their own engines and chassis for F1, also saw their share price drop significantly, and it seems like no one is safe. Even during their heyday, Mercedes in 2015, when they were utterly dominating the sport, saw their share price more than double. So, if they're aiming for more car sales, Porsche and Audi could be in for a tough road ahead. but that doesn't seem to be dissuading them, and there is also some positive evidence from car companies in Formula One. Teams like Ferrari and McLaren have both seen an increase in their brand value and share price in recent years, partly helped along by their involvement in Formula One. With a bigger and bigger audience turning to F1, it could be the right time to establish themselves as a competitive team. Porsche representatives have said because Porsche is the sportiest car brand in the world, it will be important for the brand to have a Formula One team. Both Porsche and Audi are hoping that their involvement will increase car sales in the long term, and according to their own analysis, it will help. Maybe not so much if they're at the back of the grid though. The details. Joining F1 won't be easy. Porsche knows this. They competed from 1959 to 1964, and then supplied an engine for the short-lived Footwork Arrows team in 1991. And in that 1991 season, their engine wasn't even used for half the season. Volkswagen has maintained a close relationship with Porsche since the early 20th century. In the early 2000s, Porsche gained a 25% share of Volkswagen, which increased to 50.75% in 2008. Soon after, the two companies joined forces in a merger that put Porsche under the control of an automotive group led by Volkswagen. So, Volkswagen is on top these days, but only because it was bailed out by Porsche. For Audi, Volkswagen has controlled the company since 1964. You might be surprised by some other car brands that Volkswagen owns as well, like Bugatti, Bentley, and Lamborghini. Can you imagine seeing a Lamborghini Formula One car? Audi and Porsche are not just coming to participate. Apparently, Audi has already bid over $700 million to buy a stake in the McLaren's F1 unit, suggesting that there could be a partnership between the two teams. Since Audi have not had any experience in Formula One, that makes sense. Audi's chairman, Markus Duesmann, says that after joining a new team, it can take between 5 and 10 years to catch those ahead. That's why Duesmann says that it was the chance of a decade for them, especially with the 2026 regulation changes coming in. And after having discussions with the FIA about those changes, it seems that they were satisfied. Volkswagen is also interested in the direction that Formula One is headed, specifically towards more sustainable manufacturing. That's because the entire car industry is headed in that direction too. Thanks, Tesla. What do you think Porsche and Audi's entry into Formula One means for the sport? And will it make things more exciting? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.